So let's get into our teaching tonight. I'm excited to share with you guys about more winter tips, getting ready for winter, and let's talk about what kills bees in the winter. Now, these are the big hitters that people mention. When I talk to anybody about why their bees died in the winter, I will oftentimes hear them say, "Oh, my bees died." Most people say cold. It was just way too cold. It was too cold. It was too cold. And that's not the case. Okay, temperature is not the case. Oh, I had way too much moisture. Moisture killed my bees. That's not the case either. Now, I used to think, and I still think moisture can be a contributing factor, a slight contributing factor. But it was either last winter, I think it was last winter or the winter before, I had one hive that had so much moisture in it. It was incredible. It was running down the side of the walls. And I even had winter beekinds on it when it's supposed to absorb the moisture. That hive was so big, producing so much moisture. And I had a piece of cardboard that I slipped in the bottom of the screen. And that cardboard was always wet. But that hive did exceptionally well overwintering, even though it had a ton of moisture. It's the one over there by the inventory building. We call it over there. We go into it quite a bit in our filming. I got two up by the building up here. It was one of those that's really big. It now has the queen in it from the round hive. We keep moving her around. But anyway, so moisture isn't always the reason. How about ventilation or no ventilation? Oh, my bees died because they didn't have enough ventilation, or they had too much ventilation. No, we found that that's not the case either. Maybe my bees died this winter because they didn't have any insulation. The insulation would have saved them. No, because I've had bees survive that have been insulated, and I've had bees survive that weren't insulated at all. So let's talk a little bit more about three big hitters that I want to talk tonight about. Number one is low population of winter bees. Now, look at this picture that I took many years ago. I think maybe, I can't recall, 2008. It's been a long time ago, 15 years ago maybe. But I took this picture. All that white stuff around the beehive there is winter snow here in Illinois, which, by the way, I heard that there's going to be maybe a greater chance for cold, snowy weather. El Nino, all that coming, kind of going to be a change maybe this year. We'll see. But look at that winter cluster. You see the little brown circle in the middle of those 10 frames? That's the winter cluster because it's cold. And so bees cluster very tightly. The greater the population is, the more heat they produce. And the more heat they produce, the less tight the cluster has to be, which means they can move or access more frames. And so low populations means they're going to have to get a lot closer to each other in a smaller area of the colony, which, by the way, I have always been surprised at. The cluster is not always right there in the middle. Have you guys noticed, those of you that have been keeping bees a while, have you noticed sometimes the winter cluster might be all the way, to the right or to the left against the wall? I've seen it against the wall sometimes, as if the heat of the wall, like the sun may be positioned, or the hive is positioned where the sun's hitting the side of the hive and warming it maybe, and they're over there by that warmth, or they moved over to more honey. I don't know. But low population, I got to tell you, that's devastating. It really is. That's a killer of bees right there, low populations. And I'll talk a little bit more about how this really comes into play. So the fix, or how to get around this, is that you have to make sure you're going into winter with a lot of bees. And that's really hard to do. Believe it or not, it really is. Because once you get into a dearth, like we are in Illinois, there's not a lot of incoming nectar, or it will certainly slow down after we have our first hard freeze. I mean, it was 43 degrees a couple of nights ago. What is that? 6 degrees Celsius. So it was 43 degrees Fahrenheit, 6 degrees Celsius a couple of nights ago. That's way below clustering temperature. Bees cluster at 50 degrees Fahrenheit, 10 degrees Celsius. And so, that was 43. That's pretty cold. So once we get into, the low 30s, we're in Fahrenheit, we're getting down to chances of having a hard freeze, killing all the floral sources. So anyway, bees will get really reduced in population just because summer bees will be dying off. And so you've heard me talk about winter bees and winter physiology. That's the way to get our bees really built up. All right, what's number 2 is lack of protein and carbohydrate. You thought I was going to say feeding. Lack of protein, lack of carbohydrates. So bees eat what we eat. They live on protein and carbohydrates. And the protein is found in their pollen, and the carbohydrates, of course, is found in their nectar or the honey. And so the protein is really essential for bees to be able to feed them, power themselves, their muscles, and that they keep warm by all winter long. And so feeding bees in the wintertime, or especially in the fall to build up bees, is really crucial. But let me bring up some points that we may not have thought about before. And this is warm winter days. That is devastating to honeybees. I know everybody thinks, oh, thank goodness, it's warmed up. It's the middle of winter. It's usually below freezing, and now it's warmed up and it's almost, 65 degrees Fahrenheit. My bees are flying. I'm so happy. My bees are so happy. This is so good for my bees. No, it's not. It actually is not good for bees, because at that temperature, they are going to consume so much of their winter food. And so it's going to be really difficult for them to make it through the other half of the winter when it turns cold again. So on warmer days in the winter, this is really going to be tough for honeybees, because these warm snaps that we have, these warm ups in the middle of winter, will cause the bees consume even more of their stored honey that they need in the future weeks and maybe months of winter. So, that's why the lack of protein, the lack of carbohydrates is really essential that we have in there, because, look what's going to happen in the next few months. Bees are going to be consuming all of that. Now, in Illinois, I know some of you live in Florida. Your climate's going to be different. Some of you live in different parts of the world. Obviously, your climate's going to be different too. But here in Illinois, we're much like the U.S., for the most part, only maybe 2 or 3, 4 weeks different, depending on how far away you live, north or south. But the food that's depleted before winter has always worried me. The amount of food, what did I read once? Bees consume about 3.5 pounds of protein a week. So that's a lot, It's almost like a bag of sugar. It's like a bag of sugar today, Used to be you buy a 5-pound bag of sugar, and then, for more money, you get a 4-pound bag. And it's like now for more money, you get a 3-pound bag of sugar. It looks like a 5-pound bag, but there's not as much in there. So the bees are consuming all your food before winter even gets here. So the way to get around that is feed them heavy in the fall, and then feed them heavy all winter long if you can. Get fondant, get some candy boards up there. You got to feed your bees in the winter. That finally has become something that most people are very comfortable doing. And there's many ways that we can do that now. So I'm encouraged by that. By the way, I go into more detail about this in my most recent video on October tips. After the live stream, if you haven't seen my video on October tips, 8 tips for October or fall, you gotta look at that, because I talk more about winter feeding there. Well, number 3, this is going to be a kind of a curveball for some of you. You thought you knew what number 3 was going to be. I was going to say mites, right? No, because I know all of you in Beak Squad here. I know you're highly intelligent when it comes to bees. I know you're well educated, and you know that mites are definitely bad for bees in the wintertime. But I'm bringing in another curveball here. Early spring kills bees. Can I explain that? I have seen this so many times that you make it, you go into winter, colony looks good, mites are down, queen is good, food is on, winter hits, and especially those of us that live in an area where winters are harsh and hard and long. Well, you get into spring, the either late part of winter, the early part of spring, And that's when issues can start. And what's bad about that is we don't really have the temperatures to deal with the issues sometimes. Like in early spring in Illinois, we may not have warm enough temperatures to even open a hive up, and yet it's spring and our queen's failing. So, that's really bad. You don't even, there's not much you can do. And it doesn't have to be an old queen. It can be just a birth defect. It can be maybe she was injured when she was fighting a rival queen. Maybe you had a swarm and they all the virgin queens fought each other and she was injured in the fight, but she lived and became the queen. But now she's injured. Maybe she wasn't even mated good well enough, and she's already run out of stored sperm in her spermatheca. And now it's winter, late winter, early spring. What are you going to do now? This is really, this is, in flying, the most crucial part of flying is takeoff and landing. Flying at 35,000, 38,000 feet, that's pretty mundane, autopilot, smooth, kind of boring for a pilot. But, for bees, it's the same way. Going into winter, that's the takeoff, right? It's like, oh, Mite Control, insulation if I need it, plenty of food on my hive for winter. And then winter is like flying at 38,000 feet, smooth, autopilot. But then coming out of winter, that's when it's like the landing. So coming out of winter is like, how do I land the plane now? How do I get my bees to transition out of winter into spring? And this can really be tough, like you see on the slide here, because of temperature swings, right? Here's the thing I see a lot here in Illinois. We'll have, it happens so much, and I want to pull my hair out. That's when my hair is thinning, because I pull my hair out about this. But we'll have days where, in weeks, maybe in February, I'm a cyclist, so I'll bike on really hot days in February occasionally. We call it a spring thaw in February. And all the bees are out flying. And it's like, and last year it was funny because it warmed up in February and it was warm in March. And we were all talking about, oh yeah, we're going to produce more nukes this year. We're going to have more queens early. We're going to have more bees. And it was just like, okay, I think this time we're not going to go back to winter. We were so foolish to think that. It was just like the minute we thought, okay, this is going to be it, and then boom, it turned cold again. Well, guess what happens? Again, like I said, these temperature swings are tough in early spring because we want the bees to jump into spring mode, start flying, start eating available resources out there. But then it turns cold and rainy in the spring, and the bees are locked in there with even less food than they had during winter, and it's really detrimental. So that's when you got to keep feeding your bees. Hey, those of you that are new to my channel, thanks for watching tonight. I want to share something that you may not have heard me say, and that is I always like to decide when I think my dandelions will bloom, and then I will go backwards 42 days in the calendar year. And that's when I begin feeding my bees 1-to-1 sugar water with my additives. So they'll say the dandelions are going to start, I don't know, let's say the end of March. That sometimes happens, but that's pretty early. But let's say, the 1st of April. Then just go back 42 days. What does that put you into February a little bit? So you just back up, because now why did I pick 42 days? It's because once the queen lays an egg, it takes about 42 days for that egg to become a forager. So that's my theory behind roughly 42 days, give or take some days. But roughly, we get that egg laid or eggs laid. So what I'm doing by backing up 42 days, I'm building a foraging force for the spring. Those of you that have ever tried that, it's amazing because, in the spring, here's the deal. You come out of winter with a weak colony that doesn't have a lot of bees. They made it. You're like celebrating, but, there are only 10,000 bees in there that barely scrape by winter. It takes them a month to get a good number of bees to start really bringing in a lot of nectar, and you'll miss your spring flows. But if you can really build a strong colony by feeding them in the winter and then go to the 1-to-1 so they can even raise more bees late winter, early spring, you can have a lot of bees that make it through this transitional period from winter to spring. So I want you to think about that. Early spring can kill bees because sometimes we let our guard down. We think that, okay, it's warmer now. We've had some warm spells. The bees are okay. But once we get warmer into spring, they need a lot of food. They really do, because they're laying more, the queen's laying more eggs. They have more brood to tend to. And so to feed that brood, they need a lot of incoming food. They may not get it because of, winter or spring can be wet and rainy. It needs to be to make all the flowers bloom. April showers brings May flowers. Did your mother ever tell you that? So, if we have April showers, our bees really need to go to those flowers, but now we have April showers and they can't wait till May to get those flowers. So those are 3 things I want you to be aware of. Kind of watch yourself, stay on top of these things that could happen. And of course, there are other things that we mentioned last week about mite control, get your mite levels down, virus loads down, and all that. So yeah, keeping bees, consuming a lot of food now, making sure your queen's healthy now. That's one way you can kind of rest assured your queen's going to be okay. And if you can afford it and you have the ability maybe to raise your own queens or buy a queen, it's really an advantage to replace your queen every year. If you raise your own queens, it doesn't cost you a penny. I know if you buy them, it does. But I really do believe in replacing a queen once a year or at least once every 2 years. But if you replace her once a year, it sure cuts down on the potential of losing that queen in the spring, for sure. And a new queen in the spring can keep you sometimes from having swarms as well. A strong new queen in the spring. So think about those things as well. Very good. All right. Well, let's get into some questions tonight. Don't forget, we got a giveaway coming up. All right. Hi, Lori. We have been watching your channel and love what you do for the community of beekeepers. Our question for you is, why do bees create another opening between the bottom box and second box? Oh, let me read that again. Why do bees create another opening between the bottom box and the second box? Well, Lori, thank you for watching. I'm glad you enjoy my channel. I appreciate it. By the way, those of you watching, please subscribe. And another thing that helps my channel is giving me a thumbs up, liking the video. Lori, I don't know I've ever seen bees create any kind of an opening between my first and second deep box. Never seen that. They created one? How did they create one? Did they burrow through there? That is not normal for bees to do that. I've seen mice, I've seen insects, carpenter bees or other things kind of chew away at my boxes, but I've never seen bees actually create another opening between their boxes. Yeah, that's very uncommon. Not like bees to do it. Well, thank you for your donation, Lori. Appreciate it. My 2 hives are the same, 5 frames of capped brood with solid brood pattern, a solid pattern of queen, but no larvae and eggs. I live in Northwest Iowa. Stop laying for winter. You know what? Hang on a minute. You have 5 frames of capped brood, solid brood pattern, but no larvae and no eggs. Do you have a queen? We got to make sure the queen is in there. So if you see your queen, then why did she stop laying? Queens don't stop laying. So unless there's a problem, in other words, so they don't just say, oh, time for winter. So, close the egg valve, holding on to my eggs until next spring. That's not what queens do. So if the queen has stopped laying, there's a problem and they should replace her. They should off with her head and kick her out of the hive, raise a new one from the fertilized egg, which they may be doing. And that's why there's no eggs. They may be replacing. Have you seen any swarm cell, or I'm sorry, supersedure cells? Look for supersedure cells. That means they're replacing the queen with a cell, a queen cell. Queen cells, for those of you that are new, kind of looks like your little pinky hanging down perpendicular on the frame there. Yeah, I think the queen has failed and they're replacing her. And if they don't have any queen cells in there, she could be on a mating flight when you look. Stung again, honey farm. That is great. I love that. What a name of a honey farm. Yeah. Hey, you want to come out here and visit our honey farm? Well, yeah. What's the name of your farm? Stung again, honey farm. I should change my name after last week. That's what I should call my honeybee farm. I watched your videos on resource hives with resource hives. Was very informative. What do you do with yours going into winter? That's on our schedule to film next week. That's when I got stung in the face and Patrick pulled the stinger out. We were actually not suited up, but we were just saying, let's combine that with that. And with that, I said, we don't want to film it today. We'll film it next week and we'll combine it. That'd be a great video. So that's coming up next week. Yeah. And I'll probably get stung again. Hopefully not. What's going on with my bees? They're not mean. They're just bumping into me. Hey, Matt, what's your opinion on insulated hives? I do think insulation on a hive is very important on the top insulation, just like wearing your hat. Mentioned that last week. Yep. Good. It's a good deal. I would do it. Insulating around it would probably help. You know, if it was a Arctic blast and it's a mean winter, it can't hurt, right? It can't hurt. Thank you, Matthew, for your super sticker. Thanks, guys, for donating tonight. I really appreciate it. Hey, Marge, farmers here in Southwest Minnesota are harvesting soybeans. Same here today. Yeah, today, same here. Asian lady beetles covered the outside of my hive and were around the entrance. Is there anything I can do other than smash them? Thank you. You know, they really don't pose a threat. They're used to living in crevices of rocks and all. When we brought them over here, they found that our houses really worked out well, that they could just live in our walls. Charlie, thanks for your super sticker. And I would just brush them off, keep them out of there. They're not really a predator of bees. They don't really bother bees. They just like to hang around hives, I think, like they do our houses. But yeah, I think smashing is about all you can do. I don't have as many here in Illinois as we once did. If I wanted to avoid robbing, can I do an inspection during a bad weather under the umbrella? Absolutely. Been there and I've done that. I have done that on purpose. I'm like, man, the robbing is so bad. It's raining. I'm going to put an umbrella up. We're going to do an inspection. And it's not that bad. I know that bees are supposed to be a little more cranky during, foul weather like that. But I got to be honest with you. It's not been bad for me. It really hasn't. I mean, they're all home, but I've had really good luck so far working bees on rainy days. Now my luck could change. Those hives that I've done that to may have just been kind of weird, abnormally calm, but yeah, you can do that. Absolutely. Or do it late in the afternoon. So if robbing does happen, it'll end soon at sundown. Yeah. All right. Hey, Calvin, what is your opinion of using reflectic and a flexible inner cover? Yeah, I know the material that you're talking about. I have some here. It's kind of like an insulation material, but flexible inner board. I don't use that. I think people that use it seem to like it. And one comment I heard somebody tell me they used it, but all they got was a bunch of small hive beetles up there in that material. Hey, thank you, Cheryl, for the donation tonight. Super sticker. Appreciate it. So that's one of those things. Always, guys, I don't have the corner of all beekeeping information. I'm not a know-it-all. I make mistakes. I am a certified EAS certified master beekeeper. But I only needed an 85 to pass the 4 tests. I did score better than 85, I think. But so there's 15% of stuff I don't know. You just need to try it. See what you think about it. Hey, Michael. Hi, David and Sherry. Mike from North Central Florida. I've been feeding the bees your formula and inspected on October the 2nd. I'm just wondering if they might try to swarm on me since they have drones. Yeah, anytime there's either a simulated or a real nectar flow, there's a opportunity for bees that could trigger a swarm. The best thing to do is feed and watch. Hey, Wayne, thanks for your super sticker tonight. If you guys want to donate to the live stream tonight, but you don't want to donate through YouTube or Facebook here tonight, you can go to our website at honeybeesonline.com. Many of you leave donations there for the live stream, and we appreciate that. Yep. Thank you, Wayne. Hi, Kimberly. I see you smoke your bees every hive inspection. I hear that this stresses the bees and sets the queen back from laying for several days. What do you say to this? Again, I've not done a study on it, nor have I read a study on it. I think a very respectful amount of smoke, a very you're only using as much smoke as you need, but the smoke clears out very fast when you smoke a hive. In fact, I've noticed when I'm working bees, you'll see me having to smoke it several times, um, almost every other frame, because the smoke actually sends it kind of. Thank you, Scott. It kind of like interferes with the bee's pheromone in their antennae. And so, but they have an antennae cleaner in their leg. If you didn't know bee biology, and they'll take their antenna and place it in their antenna cleaner. It's just perfect fit. They'll close a little bit and scrape it out, their antenna like that. And it cleans all the smoke particles off and they can talk again. That's how they communicate through pheromone. So yeah, I'm not a big one to think that interferes that much at all. Just from my observation of bees, I can see them keep working even after I smoke them. I think people say that because we feel like that's what we would do, but it's very disruptive. I mean, there's very little disruption when you use it correctly. Hi, David. We have a hive with 3 deeps, has a ton of resources, frames, and not very large amount of room to lay. Can I remove some of the resources and store or share with my other hives? Please do that. Yes. 80 degrees in Texas? Oh, jealous. Yeah, please do that. By the way, Patrick, I think you're still on with us, my videographer, the hive that had the 2 supers, and we were going to remove the top one because I didn't want to overwinter with those 2. I decided I was going to take that top super off, give it to another hive that doesn't have one. That just will be a great way to do that. Yeah, so you can definitely do that. Sneezy Ferret. Hi, David. I tried feeding my bees last winter fondant pollen mix. They nibbled it, but weren't really interested. Turns out they had plenty of food in the second brood box when I checked in the spring. I know I'm not, fondant. A lot of people have success with fondant. And I used to, before I made my winter be kind boards, I fed my bees fondant, and I didn't see that they ate it as much as I have seen them eat the way that we make our mixture now. So fondant is mixed a little different, but some people have a lot of luck using fondant. But it could be that your bees have a lot in storage, so they just not going to eat it. They don't need it right now. Hi, Pamela. Also, with all the rain, some of my tops have mold. I have Burns top feeder on each. Should I be concerned? Absolutely not. I don't know if it's mold or as much as it is a mildew from the water stain. I know mold stains, but I see that too a lot of times. And a lot of my, I live in the north where we have a lot of cold weather, and the hive is warm, so that makes condensation, and that condensation will sit there and mold or mildew and make those stains. Never worried about it. Never seen a problem. No, I would not lose sleep over that. Not at all. Hello, Holly. Unfortunately, I will lose both my hives as they are queenless. Is it okay to condense them into a 2-deep configuration till they die? And is it okay to freeze honey till next year? Well, I'm sorry. That's disappointing, Holly. Are you sure they're going to die? I guess you know they are, huh? They're both queenless and they can't raise a queen, maybe. Well, that's too bad. So maybe your season is over. You can't buy one. Can't find a fellow beekeeper. Okay. Well, all in all, if you can't salvage and keep either of them alive, yes, you can configure it down to 1 colony, let them fade away, and absolutely you can freeze the honey till next year. However, if they died from any kind of a brood disease, such as American foul brood or European foul brood, I'm worried about feeding that honey to another hive. So when a hive dies, I got to know why before I feed that to another colony. Well, I'm sorry to hear that. Hey, Charles, a while back you tested a thermal camera. Have you had a chance to use it anymore, and will you be using it this winter? Oh yeah, I'm going to have to replace one of my doors in my house. I used it in that video. I don't know if I showed you my door in my house, but one of the doors that faces the southwest, where the predominant winds are sometimes in the winter, it's just leaking air like a sieve, So we're gonna have to replace that door before winter. I don't really use it to make any changes to my hives that are overwintering, but it does give me an idea. Are the bees in there? Or where are they in there? Are they, how tightly are they clustered? And the more I feed them, the less they cluster. Isn't that amazing? They don't cluster as tight when they eat, because just like us, when we eat, we're warmer. And that's a good camera. I've really enjoyed that camera, by the way. We gave one away on LiveStream. Well, maybe we can do that again. Hey, Terry, thank you for your wisdom and experience. I've been keeping bees for 15 years and I learned something new every year. Well, good for you. That's quite a history of beekeeping and you made it. You're going to be beekeeper forever now. If you make it past 5 years and into 10 years, you're hooked. So good to hear. Melissa, hi from Maine, David. This is my first winter with bees. I know you're kind of nervous, right? Population has dropped considerably already. Is that normal or should I be concerned? They have about 8 frames of capped honey in each deep. Yeah, we need to be concerned, but don't fret too much. They're dropping in population because they're just laying less because there's less food to prompt the queen to lay as much. I want to see you feed them a lot. I think that would help a lot. Feed, try to get them to lay more brood to replace what isn't there. So hopefully you're feeding. That's going to make a difference. My populations would really drop fast if I wasn't feeding them. I don't need that. I don't need populations going down. Wow. Hey, Brian, I thought I seen one of my hives carrying out larvae. Can you tell me why? Absolutely, I can. They are carrying out drone larvae, and that is larvae, could be pupae, but it's, they're pulling them out because they don't want drones anymore. Drones, they'll raise more drones, the male bee, in the spring to mate with virgin queens. They don't need them, feed them all winter long, so they just don't even let them mature in the hive. It's going to be easier to take them out dead than let them be born and take them out alive. That's terrible, isn't it? That's what bees do, though. Yeah, I see that too. And then people ask me that. The other thing, after you do an inspection, if you got a little bit of comb between your frames and you tear it, that will expose developing usually drone larvae or pupae, and they will clean up what you damaged. So it could be that too. Hey, Clifford, I have one hive that I think hasn't produced enough bees. I have a climate controlled greenhouse. Could I place them in the greenhouse to preserve them while feeding them? Well, Clifford, I'm really nervous about greenhouses because bees are drawn to light and they'll come out of their hive. They'll hit the material of your greenhouse, windows or plastic, Visiqueen, whatever, and they can't get past it. And they keep trying. They keep banging their head against the wall, and they die trying to get to the light. And it's challenging. You could do it, and I don't want to discourage you from doing it. I just want to throw a little bit of a caution there. There's a lot to contend with. I've tried it, and it can be really devastating. So really think it through, watch it carefully, and see how that might go. But try to build the population up by feeding them. Hi, Cheryl. 2 8-frame deeps, and they aren't drawing comb on 4 outside bottom frames. Should I spin out some frames and give to them? Afraid queen won't have enough laying room and swarm feeding. Southwest Wisconsin. Oh, I'm going to be speaking in Wisconsin coming up. Going to be speaking in Wisconsin at the Mite. Let's see, what's it called? Mite, January the 25th. So save that date. If you're there in Wisconsin, I forget what city it's in. Does it say there? But it's going to be in Wisconsin on January the 25th. Oh, there'll be people there that you probably know. It's in Wisconsin Rapids, Wisconsin. There'll be other YouTubers there like Mr. Ed, Fred Dunn. Oh gosh, Ian Stepler. The stream team guys. There are going to be a lot of us that are on YouTube, have channels on beekeeping that'll be there. So, okay, back to your question. That really sounds unfortunate. You've got this hive that has 8 frame deeps, 2 of them. They aren't drawing comb on 4 outside bottom frames. Should I spin out some frames and give them room? Yeah, go ahead and spin out a frame or 2. But make sure you leave enough in there that they have some to overwinter with. But maybe just spin out one to see if that might prompt the queen to lay some more eggs. Thank you, Tom, for your super sticker. Appreciate all your donations tonight, guys. Means a lot to me to help support the cause. It really does. Yep. Dave, I have one hive that I think hasn't produced enough bees. Did I already do that one? Yep. I'm old and forgetful, but I've still got that good of a memory. I've seen that. Deja vu. Monica, do you really want to open the lid to put fondant in the winter? Oh, Monica, great question. Love it. Oh, yeah. Oh, yeah. Here's a good question, because we think of bees, like we do our homes and ourselves and all. We don't want to go out in the cold and so on. Here's the deal with that. Bees don't heat their hive like we heat our homes. They only heat in close proximity of each other. They hug, they huddle, they cluster is the right word, but I like to use the word huddle and hug. That's how they stay warm. Bodies against bodies, making heat. So open the lid up, doesn't hurt a thing. No, it doesn't hurt a thing. Just don't pull any frames up. You can open the lid up on a cold winter day. Try to pick don't pick a violent winter day, 40 below zero, rainy, snowy, violent wind. Go out there on the best winter day. Yeah, but it won't hurt anything. Paula, thank you for your donation tonight. I'm the best. Well, thank you. I'm glad you've learned from me, Paula. That humbles me. It really does. I don't think of myself as the best. Hey, Brittany, I had swarm cells this year in February. Oh, yeah, I know. The first, but I also live in Alabama. Well, that makes sense. What time of the year should I get into them? It's not the time of the year, but it's the temperature of the year, Brittany. You're allowed to inspect your hive without hurting them. Temperatures around 60 to 65 degrees Fahrenheit. So anytime the temperature is warm enough where you're not going to damage the capped over pupae by pulling it up and looking at it, that's when it's safe to get in there. So the time of the year doesn't matter. It's the temperature. So on I don't recommend it, but a nice winter day, you could pull out frames if it was 70 degrees Fahrenheit. Yep. I don't recommend it because you could kill your queen and can't replace her then in the winter. Nobody can sell you one. You can't ship one either. Hey, Scott from South Dakota. Last couple of days, all 4 of my hives have markedly their reduced 1-to-1 intake. Weather was stable. Is that a good indicator that I can cut back feeding? They have reduced their intake. Okay, I see now. Yeah, I mean, it doesn't hurt to leave it on there. And if they're not eating it, then they just maybe don't need it, or they're having some kind of a nectar flow somewhere and they don't want to eat your things. But yeah, if they're cutting back on taking it, you can reduce putting it on there. Absolutely. Hello, Katie from Florida. Just feed your recipe in top feeder jars all winter. We get cold only. Oh, I see. So you only get cold at night. You're wondering if you should feed them the top jars all winter. Use my temperature guide and here it is. I like to feed liquid if it's above clustering temperatures and they're foraging or they're flying. So in other words, if I feed my bees liquid, Katie, I want them to be able to defecate. To defecate, they got to fly. They got to be, it's got to be 50 degrees or warmer for them to fly. So if you're in Florida and you can get by feeding them liquid above 50 degrees Fahrenheit and they're flying out and defecating, yeah, they'd be fine. No problem. They would eat that anyway. If they could get it out of flowers, they'd eat it and they go to the flowers. Everest, how are you doing? Thank you for your donation tonight. That's a big fish. My gosh. First year I have 2 hives, one large and one about 5 frame with feed, putting them on the main hive, double screen bottom board, make it through winter. Oh, I say Southwest New Mexico. Let me look at that again. 2 hives, one large and one about 5 frame with feeding, putting them on main. Oh, I say you're going to hook them together. You're going to put the 2 hives together with a double screen bottom board. Will they make it through winter like that? That's a crystal ball answer. And I left my crystal ball in the house. I don't have it out here. I know. I would love to. I know you're asking me, do I think? What's the chances? Would that be okay? Should I do something different? I know you're not asking me for yes or no, but anytime we do things like that, it increases the chance that they won't make it, because a strong colony has to be set up right for winter. And when we use things like this, it doesn't mean they won't work. It just means that it is decreasing their chances of making it through winter, because, like you said, you've only got 5 frames in one hive. You know, again, you can try it. Keep your fingers crossed. Might be the way to do it. Might work fine. Yeah. Cozy Oaks Homestead. I like that word, homestead. Oh, a new beekeeper. Hearing mixed opinion on bee bread. I see my bees back filling the original nuke box boards with bee bread. Is this okay? Leave it, get rid of it. I'm a lot confused. Mixed opinion out there. Here's my take on this. I look at it like this. Bees are doing their thing for a reason. Who am I to think I know better than bees? You know, if they're packing in bee bread, if they need bee bread, if they're doing something with bee bread, or they're arranging their frames a certain way, I'm like, hey, this is what my bees want to do. I don't really interfere with that at all. I've got one hive that is just bee bread crazy. I mean, they have probably, they have a lot of frames in there, a lot of bees, but they probably have at least 4 or 5, 6 frames of bee bread. Yeah, it's crazy. But they overwinter well. I'd just let them be. Let them be. Hey, Brian, thank you for all your knowledge and sharing. You have definitely helped us first year beak. Well, thank you, Brian Hill. Appreciate it so much. And thank you for your donation. I'm glad to help you guys. I really am. It's a lot of fun helping beekeepers. Hi, Dana. Small amount of bees flying in and out of the hive, and then at once a huge number of bees flying in front of the hive. Is this a batch of foragers? Wondering, the first things that come to my mind is robber bees. You know, I don't know for sure, but the scenario often that I might see a hive struggling to be populated well, small amount of bees going in and out. And then all at once, a whole bunch of bees are going in and out. That's because the small amount of bees might have been robber bees, and they went back and told the family where the unprotected honey is, and they're robbing it out. It could be a new batch of foragers, possibly. Only an inspection will tell. Yep. Couple of more questions, and we're going to have a giveaway. So stay tuned in just a second. Hey, Victor, I've been putting 1-inch rigid foam under my telescoping cover but the ants take it over and burrow into it. Tried cinnamon with limited success. Any other ideas? So what is it about this rigid foam that ants like? That's weird. You don't have sugar or food up there, do you? I mean, if you're feeding, some of those upper insulated inner covers have circular holes for feeding or fondant, and the ants would love that. Other ideas of getting rid of ants is breaking off their ability to get there. So lift up the hive, put it on some kind of a stand with 4 feet or legs, put those legs in a pan of some type of vegetable oil that becomes a moat. So ants can't cross the moat of oil or even water, maybe. And that will keep the ants from getting up there. That's one option. Yeah, I would try that. One more question, then we'll have a giveaway. Johnny. Good evening, David. Is it better to close the screen bottom board for winter or leave it open and added ventilation? Cincinnati, Ohio here. Well, hello. You're not that far from me. Johnny, I talked about that in my last video, October tips. We addressed that. I explained in great detail. Be sure and watch that video for more. But very quickly, I do both. I have solid boards. I have screen bottom boards. I kind of like the idea. And what I try to do is on my screen bottom boards, block them off, but not entirely, leaving about 1 inch all the way around the screen for ventilation. So it blocks off the middle section. Yeah, that helps a lot. Thank you, Alex, for your super sticker tonight. Very kind of you guys for supporting me tonight. Oh, let's have a giveaway. So we're talking about how to get your bees ready for winter. And I've got an online course. It's called How to Get Your Bees Through the Winter. I think that's the name of it. Online. And we're going to give that course away. So if you'll leave a comment, #class. And if you already own it, a lot of you bought a lot of our classes online. You bought the ultimate class that comes with it. So if you already have it, don't try to win it again. You'll keep somebody else that needs it from winning it. So if you want to hear me teach on what my techniques are for overwintering and getting my bees through the winter, you might like this online class. Good time to get it, actually. This hashtag class, how to get your bees through the winter. Absolutely. Yeah, it's a big worry, I think, for a lot of beekeepers, whether your bees are going to make it. But look, guys, don't lose a lot of sleep over your bees may perish this winter. I know you love them, and I know bees really mean a lot to all of us. We've been with them all year. We hate to see them perish. We certainly do. But, don't let that really make you mentally depressed or unhappy or sad. Come on. I mean, if they perish in the winter, you did the best you could. You learned a lot. Don't give up on bees. You're just going to take this knowledge and do better next year. We're going to do the best we can, and hopefully maybe this class will help you. All right, Robbie, let's do a giveaway of how to get your bees through the winter class. Let's see who's going to win tonight. Hashtag class, all lowercase. All right, loading up our class here. See who's going to win. Robbie's getting ready to push that button. Thanks, Robbie and Jessica and Sherry tonight. All these people are going by here. That's great. Oh, Brenda Jenkins. Hi, Brenda. I've seen Brenda comment a lot on my YouTube channel. Always good talking to Brenda. Congratulations, Brenda. You'll need to email us within 24 hours, Brenda. Got a new email address for winners only, beaksquadwinner@gmail.com. And please email us within 24 hours. It makes it so much easier to figure out who won and get that class to you. All right. Congratulations. Well, if you didn't win, we're going to do another giveaway for the same class. Let's do it again. Somebody else still has a chance. Get your hashtag class in there real quick. Don't have to do it again if you've already done it, but we'll just use it again and see if we can get. Nope, Brenda already won. Okay, there we go. Here we go. Somebody else still has a chance tonight. Another winning opportunity. Who's it going to be? Gordon. Hey, congratulations, Gordon. Same, Gordon. Be sure and email us right away within the next 24 hours, beaksquadwinner@gmail.com. So go ahead and send us that email. That way we can get that class sent out to you as soon as possible. Those are really helpful things to have online courses. And I think we usually have our very big discounted online courses on Black Friday coming up in November next month. Yeah. Hey, speaking of me speaking, coming up this month in October, I'll be speaking in Iowa at the Iowa, what is it called? The Iowa Honey Producers Association annual conference, biggest conference in the Midwest. And looking forward to that, speaking with other well-known speakers that you've heard of us as well. And if you're in that area of Iowa and you want to come and spend the day, several of you have told me on Beak Squad you'll be there. I'm speaking both Friday and Saturday. I think I have my dates right. I get my speaking opportunities mixed up, but I think I'm speaking both days, Friday and Saturday. So I hope to meet you guys there. It's always fun. Sometimes I feel lonely when I travel far away to a distant land and I speak at a conference. But as soon as I start seeing people that says, hey, I watch your channel, I know you, I see you, it makes me feel at home. So if you can be there, I don't feel lonely. We want to thank all of those of you who have donated to the live stream tonight, either here or at honeybeesonline.com. You can always donate for our live stream at our website as well. So appreciate all of you so much. All right, we've got time for more questions. I've got a couple of minutes here. Armando, I use Swiffer sheets to deal with hive beetles, but I did not see any benefit on it. Any thoughts? It's tricky, isn't it? One of the things I had struggled with my flow hive when I did a video on it recently. It had some small hive beetle up in the honey supers of the flow hive. They're so tight, I can't get a trap up there. They're so tight, I can't get a Swiffer pad up there either. Kind of tough. Swiffer sheets, some people say they work great, and I've caught some beetles with them, no doubt. But sometimes if they're not really handled correctly or placed in there correctly, what happens is the bees will just tear it up, take it out. really quickly. I mean, I've lost whole sheets in no time. So yeah, it's a little tough. They have to be in the right place. It's just like going fishing. Put the hook where the fish are. Got to put those sheets where the beetles are. Yep, that helps a lot. Hey, Ryan, I lost my queen 3 weeks ago. They made a new one. Should I let her go or buy a new mated one? Oh, Pennsylvania. Well, Ryan, do you have drones still? You can wait and see if she starts laying, if you've got time to do that. Otherwise, if you're real nervous, don't see drones and it's getting cold, you might want to try to buy one. That's a tricky part about this is the takeoff time of the airplane. We're taking off, getting ready to go into winter. That's kind of tough, isn't it? By the way, I'm going to be having my green chair answer day tomorrow. So any comments, as many as I can get to tomorrow, I'll try to answer more of these comments. Please watch that video every Friday. It's raw and unedited. And I'd like for you to join me tomorrow. Watch for that video on my channel. I have only a few frames of honey on my top super. Is this too little on top? Should I pull it? Will they get the food above that over winter? Yeah, I've addressed this a lot of videos recently, and it's never a good idea to leave only a few frames above them because the cluster could move up there to a very small amount of brood or food and actually start getting hungry. So you need to have a real full super above them going into winter. All right, last question. Who will it be? Deb, do you think putting a solid bottom board and maybe some wood pellets to absorb moisture under a screen bottom board, that is a stack bottom boards, would be beneficial for winter? Sure. It won't hurt anything at all. That's fine to do that. You can experiment, do a little study yourself, think about how well it did. See if that works. Most moisture is going to rise, I think, but some moisture is going to drip down, run down, and get into those chips down below there too. It might be kind of messy come spring. Might have small hive beetle larvae in it and all that, dead bees. Who knows? But yeah, worth a try. Well, guys, this is an opportunity for me to thank you guys so much for supporting my channel, supporting me. I've been on YouTube now for 16 years making beekeeping videos. I can't believe I don't tire doing this. Okay, I get tired, but I'm not tired of doing it. I get tired working so hard for you guys. But when I have an opportunity to be with you guys like tonight and reading your comments on YouTube, it means a lot to me. One way you can really help me out is subscribe. And anytime you watch one of my videos, it helps so much if you can leave a comment or give me a thumbs up. It's amazing, even now, if you give a thumbs up, how much it will help this video get out to more beekeepers, because it tells YouTube that, hey, I like that video. Other people might too. They push it around. So if you can just subscribe and then tell me you like the video, give me a thumbs up, I would sure appreciate it so much. I've got a lot of good videos coming up. I've got an arsenal of filming that I've done, and I've got a lot of edit to do. But I love you guys. Appreciate you being here so much. And yeah, got some speaking things coming up. Don't forget. And as always, be sure and just spend time looking at my channel. I've got over 800 beekeeping videos on my YouTube channel. So even though you may only be watching the last few or this year's or this month's, I've made a video on everything you've ever thought about on beekeeping. Really, I'm sure. If I haven't, I'll be shocked. But anyway, you can just binge watch my channel and you'll be amazed at how many things you'll see me do with bees. So be sure and watch my channel. And as always, guys, you guys are the best. I got to tell you, I love and appreciate all of you so much. I want to thank Sherry and Jessica, Robbie. They're the best too, man. They're coming out every Thursday, giving up their night. But thank all of you tonight for being here. And if you're watching it live or watching the replay, I just appreciate all of you so much and look forward to seeing you again in the next video or in the next live stream. Hope you have a great rest of the week. Be safe. Have a great weekend. Good night.